Ati, thank you for your availability today. And usually you say, we say that we are always available for our friends. And you are a big friend of Silk Road. So you are here today with us. And dear colleagues, dear friends, let me introduce our guest. Today, our guest is Ati Tosun, owner and creator of Indy Guide. Indy Guide is a booking platform for travel services. What is important when we talk about the Indy Guide, it's a platform. In this platform, every supplier, every small supplier, guides, drivers, hotel, or special accommodation place, or travel agency, everyone can offer his services directly to the traveler. It's kind of bridge between service provider and the traveler. And many of us already know Ati, and or we are present on Indy Guide, and we already offering our services there. So we can say that this huge online platform, this Indy Guide, today become one step closer to us. And today we will discover the human side of Indy Guide, the creator of this beautiful project. Ati, I also want to introduce my friend Mikhail. Even you already know him. He will be with us on air today. And Mikhail, he is one of the initiators of Samarkand Tourism Forum. And Samarkand Tourism Forum is a platform uniting travel professionals from all over the Central Asia and CIS countries. The main objective of this Samarkand Tourism Forum is to provide to our colleagues a way to discuss tourism-related topics, to exchange knowledge, technologies, and create a common vision of tourism development in our area. Ati, I'm happy to see you. And before you start, I just want to mention some points to mark our today's discussion.
Yes.
Last week, we heard that Forbes mentioned Silk Road as one of the strongest brands after Corona crisis. It's a good news for us. But at the end, in our daily work, every time we hear that our region is identified as an underrated destination, let's say identified as unknown destination. So we miss something in the middle. And actually, this is our mission to fulfill this missing element and bring tourism in our region to higher level and to bring our countries to the prosperity through tourism. Ati, the floor is yours.
Ati, go on.
Okay. Good afternoon to Samarkand. Good afternoon to Central Asia and all of Indy Guide land. I see many familiar names and also faces. I hope everyone is doing well and is safe and well, despite the difficult circumstances we are in our tourism industry. But even though tourism is not really happening at the moment, it is still a very, very important time for tourism. And especially, I think, and Roshan mentioned it also in his introduction, I think a very important time for Central Asia as a tourism destination. So today, I want to talk to you not as a tourism expert. I'm not a tourism expert. I'm not a Central Asian expert. I'm a promoter of Central Asia, and I'm a provider of a platform for local tourism professionals like yourself. And all I can do is, we have the opportunity to observe so many conversations and transactions going on the platform that I want to share with you today what we are observing and what we are learning. And I want to share with you what we're doing, how we're doing it, and why I think it is successful so far. And that's the topics I prepared for you today. I know I'm going to talk about the story of Indy Guide for those who don't know us yet. And then I'm going to talk about understanding the Silk Road traveler, what guests like and what they dislike, and how best to deal with online travelers, and talk about some of the marketing activities that we are doing at Indy Guide. Indy Guide story. First, my name is Ati, or full name Ati Tosun. I'm a Kazakh. My parents are Kazakhs, but I grew up in Switzerland. That's why I don't speak any Russian, unfortunately. But I speak Kazakh. I understand some Kyrgyz and Uzbek as well, but not fluent enough yet to give a presentation in Uzbek or Kazakh language. So that's why it's in English today. I studied computer science, business and finance at the University of Zurich. And before my life at IndyGuide, I was working for the 3 major Swiss banks in Zurich. And that's when I also met my wife and partner, Alexandra. She has a marketing background, communication background, and she's also worked for Swiss tourism projects and other charity projects. So we are professionals in what we are doing, but more importantly, we are passionate about the people that we are working with. We are passionate about the places that we have visited and we want to promote, and we are passionate about our platform that we are building. And behind IndyGuide, it's a very lean organization, but we have a network of freelancers doing the work, like, you know, the IT development, design, lawyer, trustee, marketing, SEO, social media, and that's also in the background. And you know, the story began in 2015 and 16 when we decided to quit our life and to quit our jobs here in Switzerland and to travel to Central Asia. We didn't know much, like many travelers don't, and we didn't expect a lot, but we were so amazed and surprised, to be honest. We stayed in Central Asia for almost a year. We traveled from Kazakhstan to Kyrgyzstan to Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Mongolia, and then again starting in Kazakhstan. And very early in this trip, it was in Özkemen, Kazakhstan, where we realized immediately the need of a platform for travelers and local providers. Because I speak Kazakh, and in Özkemen I was not able to book a tour because I couldn't find anyone who spoke English. I couldn't find anyone who spoke some Kazakh. So it took me 2 or 3 days to get a tour to Altai. And that was the pivotal moment when I said, no, that's not possible. And that shouldn't be that probably the most beautiful region of Kazakhstan is not accessible or so difficult to get access to, even for a Kazakh, so let alone other foreigners who want to visit the region. So there, you know, it was early in the trip, we decided to launch a platform and to see if it works. And 6 months after we started, the first version of IndyGuide was installed and live. The first providers that we had met on our trip were online and selling their services. And the first booking was placed in the first months of the platform. That was March 16. So after that first booking, I said, okay, so it looks like this could work, and we just have to invest more and focus on building the network of local providers. So we traveled all of Central Asia. We went door by door, face to face, business to business, tried to meet as many providers as possible, explained and showed how IndyGuide is supposed to work, and they all joined. So that was the beginning. And with the IndyGuide, we wanted to overcome at least 2 of the major challenges that we are seeing for tourism in underrated destinations like Central Asia. You know, the lack of infrastructure in many places. The language barrier is a real challenge because, you know, in rural areas, still too many people are not able to communicate with foreigners. Even those who work in tourism sometimes don't speak English or other foreign languages. But more importantly, we wanted to address the reputation, the bad reputation of Central Asia, at least by rectifying it. Because, you know, all my friends and colleagues in Switzerland and in Europe, when I was posting, you know, our trip videos and writing about it in our personal blog back then, everyone was so surprised. They had no idea how beautiful it was. And, you know, so they just had to learn about it. And until now, many of them have visited Central Asia because they knew what to expect. So many people don't know the region, or if they do, it's often wrong what they know. So we want to correct the image, the reputation of the region, and increase the visibility and improve the publicity for the region as a travel destination. And one way we're doing it is by providing direct access to local providers, providing a transparent platform, because for me as a traveler, that was the missing part. So with IndyGuide, we are putting the spotlight on destinations that are overlooked and underrated. our vision at IndyGuide is we want to be the leading travel platform for life-changing travel experiences along the Silk Road. And our mission to achieve is that we believe that good tourism needs open-minded guests and engaged local hosts. Our platform matches them for truly authentic travel experiences. Here, I don't like to talk about sustainable tourism because that's a wording that I don't understand anymore, because everything is sustainable nowadays. But I think travelers and providers, we know what we mean by good tourism. The impact that we are having as travelers and providers on a culture, on a destination economically, on the nature that we are visiting. So I think caring about this impact, that's a good tourism. And we promote underrated destinations along the Silk Road by making them visible and helping them build a sustainable tourism for economic growth and prosperity. And last but not least, travel connects people and changes lives, like it did with my life. So that's why we do what we do. And the business model that we've created is very simple, known in many other industries. It's a matchmaking with a 10% commission. On the one side, there are more than 2,000 local hosts, as we call them, tourism providers in 15 destinations, and offering their services to guests from all around the world. Providers and hosts are able to list their products, tours, services for free, and so far we have thousands of them. And both parties are also able to create an individual customized trip. And in the past, the share of customized trips was about 2/3, and the booking of standard products that are listed is about 30%, 1/3. But standard products, I'm going to talk about it later again, are still very important, to show the range of your services, to show off your expertise and professionalism, and also to generate search traffic for your website. And I like to believe that Central Asia's tourism industry is benefiting in these 4 ways. Visibility and publicity, just to show the beautiful side of Central Asia. We want to empower and support hosts and their professional development. We are providing data intelligence and we are sharing a lot of it publicly and freely, because I think that's also a missing part for the industry. And we believe, and we like to believe, that we have a big economical impact by working only with local providers and trying to make sure that guests are spending as much as possible of their budget in the destination with the local service providers, and that they are not paying a foreign travel agent that is getting the biggest share of the trip. So IndyGuide launched in 2016, still a young but fast-growing platform. So now, today already the largest and most trusted travel platform in Central Asia. And why do guests love IndyGuide? IndyGuide provides this trusted shortcut to verified hosts and also rated by other travelers. IndyGuide has the largest selection of tours, drivers, cars, transfers, and accommodation. IndyGuide allows customized trips for both sides and also provides insider tips by local experts. And why do hosts love IndyGuide? Because of the marketing effects, that you can get easy traffic to your online presence. And your online presence is your profile, your tours, your listings, your tips that you're sharing, your answers that you're giving to travelers, and your articles that you're writing. IndyGuide provides this host dashboard for a quick overview of your listings, your views, sales, bookings. So it's like a cockpit with your own data. Brings you business opportunities like direct requests, or you being able to respond to trip requests by travelers. And we're also building this host community in Central Asia and beyond, where you can collaborate, learn from each other, and benefit from each other, from hosts in your region and beyond that. And I believe that this segment for a platform was missing. We look at the big names, major platforms in the travel industry. Most of them, or all of them, they are mostly neglecting and ignoring Central Asia as a destination. There are several reasons for that, but that was the opportunity for IndyGuide to be the only platform that is focusing on the region. So it's fully digital and has by far the largest regional choice. Yes, and since 2016, we have more than 2,000 hosts, served more than 20,000 travelers, and traffic and organic has been growing accordingly. And I'm going to talk about organic traffic also today, because our main focus in marketing is the growth, the organic growth in search engines like Google, where we try to generate traffic for as many keywords as possible. Yeah, but the growth suddenly stopped in early March, on 8th of March to be exact. You know, you can see here the year-by-year growth from January to May. You know, IndyGuide was on a path up. And then with the current crisis and the current pandemic, the current lockdowns, travelers stopped since early May. But the good news is, you know, in the recent couple of days and weeks, 1 or 2 weeks, we are seeing an increased activity by travelers again on the platform. So it's just a pause. Travel will be back. And many people, in Europe at least, what I'm seeing is, you know, they cannot wait to go out and to travel again after 2 months in lockdown. They are still hesitant with the bookings, but only because they are uncertain about the airlines and borders and quarantine regulation. So as soon as there is more clarity, they will be booking it. Right now, we see many travelers, you know, looking around, doing some planning and researching, and so they will be ready to book as soon as there is more clarity. So in this presentation today, I hope I can show a way forward. I can show some opportunities that we can think of, you know, for the future, and not be frustrated about the current crisis. Because let's just use this time and the opportunity to be productive, to learn, and to get ready for the next tourism season that it's coming. It may be just around the corner. It will arrive. We just don't know when. So better get ready now. And that's what we also did with IndyGuide. And I'm just going to give a quick overview for those of you who already know IndyGuide, because last week there was a big change. We introduced a new website, and I'm going to mention some of the major changes here. We have a new host verification process in place, you know, like ID, guest reviews, certificates, and also video interviews. So all hosts, even existing hosts, have to apply again. We will curate every content that is uploaded. We will review it and approve it before it's published. So that was not the case in the past. And we also have more detailed trip requests. That was a major wish from our providers in the past. You know, more details from the guests, but also we have a limit of maximum 10 hosts who are able to respond to that trip request. So 10 is still a good number for the guest, but not too much, not overwhelming. And if you submit your offer, you have a much higher chance of getting the business. As I mentioned, the host dashboard for your cockpit. We introduced a new category for special accommodation, guest houses, camps, your camps. Accommodation providers can list their place and get commission-free bookings. So this is a free service, free category for everyone. We introduced a new host community for collaboration, a new IndyGuide Academy section for, you know, FAQs, tips, webinars like this one for more success on the platform, and insider tips for both sides. And also we introduced the SMS channel if you don't have internet signal there sometimes. So after this section, I would like to talk about what we are seeing in terms of, you know, what guests are looking for. And what I've learned in the past is, you know, if someone was struggling with getting business or dealing with travelers, it was because they didn't understand what the guest is looking for, or what they value, or where they are. So I'm going to share what we have observed in the past. I'm going to start with some data of the platform, and then also talk about some of the soft factors like communication. You know, thanks to the large traffic on the platform, we are able to extract a lot of patterns and like this search phrases that users and travelers are typing. And if we structure it, is These are the top 20 search phrases overall, excluding places and destinations. Of course, lakes, festivals, horse, canyons, trekking activities. It's a mixture of keywords that are very important for your guests. And the second half of this slide shows the example for Uzbekistan in terms of top 10 activities, top 10 interests, and top 10 places they are visiting. And that's the Uzbekistan travel profile that I published in LinkedIn. You can find other countries of Central Asia there as well. If you're looking for your country-specific data, we've published all of them in my LinkedIn profile. Now, who is using the platform? It's half of the travelers, almost half of them are Europeans, 34% from Asia, 13% from Northern America, and then Australia and the rest. And they book all kinds of trips, from one-day trips and city tours to multi-week trips and expeditions, equally distributed. So we have all kinds of trips that are in demand. And this might surprise you, 32% of them are solo travelers, so traveling by themselves, looking for others to join. They are very flexible, very open for suggestions, so they accept almost anything, I'd say. And then we have the biggest share are couples or two friends, traveling together. And then we have small groups, 10 to 20%, and large groups, 10 to 20%. 60% male bookers, 40% female bookers. That's also due to probably the biggest share of the solo travelers are male solo travelers. So that's one explanation. And the age demographic is, the average traveler on IndyGuide is 44 years old. So we have about 20% of budget travelers, young travelers, students who are looking for cheap options. They, price is the most important factor for them. But 80% of travelers, they are looking for quality and great service. So this might be a misperception about platforms. It's not all about the price. It's quality first for most travelers. When you travel with your family or with your partner, Central Asia is usually, it's not your regular destination. It's not your regular vacation. It's a once in a lifetime experience. It's probably, they probably don't want to return to Central Asia. So it's usually a far trip to an unknown place. They don't want to risk it in order to save $100 on a 10-day trip. And what's also a specialty of Central Asia, and also in Uzbekistan in particular, is most travelers usually visit more than one country if they visit Central Asia. So Uzbekistan travelers, 55% of them visit not only Uzbekistan, so they also visit, that's in descending order, Kyrgyzstan, then with Kazakhstan, and also Tajikistan. Some even all of them. So that's the destination matrix here based on the IndyGuide travelers. Travelers visiting Uzbekistan, for example, also visit Kyrgyzstan in most of the cases. So, working with your partners in Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan and Tajikistan, that's what you need to have to address and reach the whole potential of your business. So they want, and usually if it's a multi-country trip, they need more expertise, more professional services, and that's also where your margin and profitability is higher if it's a multi-country trip, because it's also a less competitive market for you as well. And the demanded services of travelers, it's, of course, many are looking for a guide, and almost half of them are looking for private tour packages. Some for drivers. It's for transfers mostly, between cities. 20% for group tours. These are mostly the solo travelers who are willing to join others and looking for budget options. And 30% are also looking for rental cars. I wanted to emphasize the the population of solo travelers, because I think that's a growing population based on the, on the development of societies, particularly in Europe, and more people will be traveling alone by themselves in the future. So it's now, I said overall, it's 32%, but as you can see, depending on the destination, there's a huge difference. Azerbaijan has only 17% of solo travelers, whereas Turkmenistan has 47%, Tajikistan 43%. So that's a very important population of travelers that you need to be able to address. Travel season, of course, you know that. That's a seasonal business. Most destinations have the peaks in summer. Uzbekistan has 2 peaks in spring and autumn. I think all destinations have a huge potential in winter tourism. So especially probably this year, if everything, when season, the traveling resumes in September, October, November, maybe. So there's a great potential for winter trips as well. How do they plan and book? Usually it takes they start the planning 3 months before the trip starts. That's the average. But as you can see, there's, depending on the season, it's much shorter in summer and larger in winter. It also means, like, for example, in winter months, December, January, February, you're selling the more expensive tours and probably more profitable tours, less but higher volumes. So that means, winter is not a lazy season at all. It's also a great season to get some big business as well. And winter bookers are usually the ones who are more engaged, more educated. They have done more research. They have a better understanding what they are looking for. Whereas summer travelers, they just arrive and they're open and they don't know much, so they need your guidance. So you have all kinds of travelers also depending on the season. They spend hours and hours, days and days on the websites and also on IndyGuide's website. A few of them hundreds of sessions, as you can see, but the majority are between 10 and 20, and each session can be around 30 minutes. So for every booking, even if it's a day trip, on average, they spend 5 hours net time on the platform, browsing and clicking and chatting. And 42% of the bookings are made on mobile devices, and these are mostly the travelers, the summer travelers, young travelers who arrive, who are already in your country, and they want to book the next day or next weekend a trip. So they are very spontaneous and open, and they are just looking around and book if they see something they like. Maybe not very important, you might think, but we constantly observe that Wednesdays is the most productive day of the week. So it's not the weekend, because weekends are personal times. You go out, you meet friends, you don't want to spend your weekends planning and researching. But on Monday, when you go back to your office, you start planning your vacation. And the midday, when after 2 days of working and 2 days ahead of you before next weekend arrives, Wednesday are the most productive days when the most bookings happen. So make sure you're available on Wednesdays. And what we also see, the more listings you have, the more images you have. And of course, the more reviews you have, the more bookings you'll get. It's almost logical for most of you, but some of you don't act on that. Now, so what do they, after some data, what do they like? And what do they expect? And how do they start choosing and deciding which trip they want to book? Your guests, they want to be understood. They want to be taken care of. They want to be able to trust you. They want to see that you have expertise in what you're doing, and they want to pay a fair price. Not too much, but not too little. So that's what they're looking for. And keep that always in mind when you're communicating with your guests, especially if it's the first interaction. keep that in mind. They are at this stage of the interaction, they are at a different level. You know, they have maybe they just decided on Silk Road and Uzbekistan. They have images and scenes in their mind and in their imaginations. Don't confront them with facts. Don't confront them with prices. Don't confront them with disclaimers and terms in the beginning. You know, be there where they are. That's images and scenes. Ask them what kind of images and what kind of expectations they are looking to fulfill in this trip. And you know, over the last 4 years, we've got some great reviews from your guests, and IndyGuide providers are doing an excellent job. And that's the best job, that's the best part of my job, reading those reviews. And we have a big claim, you know, by enabling life-changing experiences, but it's happening. Based on the reviews and what guests are saying about you and your services and the trip with you, you know, experience of the life, memories for life, best moments of the life, introduction to another world, a trip to remember, you know, and a trip to remember with their children. So you are already creating life-changing experiences, and that's what they're looking for. Because travel has become, it's not a commodity. That's why I don't like to talk about tour products, but that's the term. But you know, it's not a service anymore. It's not an experience anymore. It can be a transformation. It can transform your guest, and it's always two ways, probably. You know, your guests have an impact on you and on your country. Your country and you have an impact on your guests. And let's make this a great positive impact. And looking back, you know, the reviews that you're getting are just amazing. It's like almost 100% positive. You know, it's between 95 to 99%. So it's already great. And so they talk about, you know, mostly if they talk about, if there's a common pattern in the positive reviews, it's about the personality of the host and guide. It's about the flexibility of the host and guide in you know, if situations change, and they always do, you know that. So situations always change during the trip than it was planned. So how flexible are you? How do you take care of, you know, changing expectations and changing moods of your guests? And also about the little moments, the magical moments. It's not the museum, it's not the view of a valley, it's the connections that make the biggest impression on your guests. And that's what we are reading in the reviews. You know, it may be a dinner, it may be a talk, it's a situation in the car. It's just this personal connection and affection to each other that makes this trip so great. And at the end, you know, if they say it's like leaving behind a friend that you've made on your trip, that's when there is this connection. And in the few cases of negative reviews, it's just the opposite. You know, if there is no flexibility, no understanding, and not caring enough of your guests, if it's about, you know, technical issues, payments, terms, rooms, cleanliness, punctuality, these are the things that we're reading in negative reviews. Of course, your driver has to be on time. You know, once is okay, but if he's late every day and every time, that's just not acceptable. That's a small thing, but that's the only thing that they will have in the review, that your driver is not punctual. Everything else might be perfect, but that's a negative review, and you don't want that. You know, of English, the language barriers are an issue, and sometimes safety. You know, in some cases, if the back seats don't have safety belts, if your driver is texting while driving, Europeans, especially Germans, Swiss people, they are very sensitive about that. You know, if you're texting while driving, if you talk while driving, if you smoke, that's not acceptable while driving, your drivers. And that's in the negative reviews, that's the pattern. That means everything else is great, but these are the small little things that leave such a bad impression that it results in an overall bad review. dealing with online travelers. Online travelers, I mean, the travelers who are planning online and they want to plan as much as possible themselves and they want to co-create the trip with you. That's the new and growing generation of travelers. And at least what we are seeing here in Europe, everything is online. There's a platform for every industry, for every commodity. And travelers, they already expect it to be online. They want to book it online, they want to read reviews online, and they want to chat online and instantly with you. That's their demand to you. And when you start the conversation with them, the biggest mistake that we see on the platform, that many hosts are so focused on the sale that they skip the entire process of forming the actual connections. They don't start with questions and they don't want to understand their guest first. They want to sell a product, but that's not what your guest wants at this moment of the process. They want to be understood. They want to find someone who can guide them, who can take their hand and be with them along the planning process. So don't try to sell in your first message. It's not about the price yet. Just listen and understand first. And that means also asking the right questions. And sometimes, understanding the answer behind an answer, or sometimes understanding something behind the question. Why is he or she asking this question? So always think from their perspective. If it's, now with the new trip requests on the platform, we are providing, for example, not only the country where they are from, but also like the age group they are in. So if it's if you see it's someone 30-year-old and the other one is 70-year-old, that's probably a generational trip. Parents with a child, grown-ups or grandparents. So they, you can address that. You can address the travel comfort for elderly people. If you see they have children, you can address the needs of children for safety, food, accommodation, for transportation, for activities that are kid-friendly. So show that you really care and you want to understand their expectation by asking the right question, by seeing what's behind the trip request or behind the question or behind an answer. I usually say never, use the standard message, template messages that you're sending out to anyone. They usually don't work. You can save your time. Don't do that. If you don't have the time to write a personal message, don't write the message at all. Introduce yourself. Why are you the perfect organizer? Why are you the perfect host for me, for my trip? Of course, as individual as possible. And then by starting a conversation like that, you start gaining their trust, that you kick off a conversation. Keep that conversation alive. Always ask questions in every step of the way. And what guests also love, they love options. Imagine everyone is lazy. Your guests are lazy. They don't want to do it themselves. They don't want to look it up. They don't want to do their research. They want to have it prepared by you. If you prepare options, that's what they love, option A or B, or sometimes C. So they can choose, they can compare. Is it standard, luxury, budget, comfortable? Provide options about accommodation, about meals, transportation, activities, and then you'll get answers, and then you'll understand what they're looking for, and they feel like, wow, this host is really, I'm just going to get what I'm looking for. And that's what I'm expecting. And if a conversation goes on like that, I almost guarantee there is no negotiation about the price at the end. They will not go back and talk to a different provider. They will book the trip with you, because it's all about trust. Even if it's online, we now have this virtual connection in these times during lockdown. We know we can trust each other, even if it's virtual. Even by chatting, you can get to know each other. So that's the same with your guests. That's how it works. That's the magic. That's not. That's probably my biggest advice for you today. But don't stop listening, please. We have a few minutes left. Another question is, especially when you're dealing online and you don't have a lot of reviews on TripAdvisor, Google, or IndyGuide, and how, of course, it can be difficult to get your bookings done when you're starting fresh or new online. Explain your guests, why do you have 0 reviews? Is it a new brand? Are you a new provider? Is it a new platform for you? Explain why you have 0 reviews, because that's obvious that they are going to ask about it if you don't tell them. And if you do have 0 reviews, you can add special offers and bonuses to make it up for them to book with you. You can record a personal video message and send it to them, and to show that you really care and that you really want this to happen. Proof that you have experience. Proof that you've been to the places that they are talking about. And if you don't have reviews, you have to make it up. And another question, yes, there is the day when you'll get your first negative review. That's not avoidable. So you will have a negative review, but that's okay. It can happen. It's not always your fault. It's also the guest's perception and guest's fault sometimes. But it's your responsibility to apologize, to clarify, and to commit to improve. And in some cases, to compensate and refund, at least partially. Because negative reviews can really, really hurt your business for years to come. If it's 1 negative review out of 20, 50, 100, that's okay, because it makes you more credible, more authentic. Because I know and you know nobody's perfect. So negative reviews are okay, but of course you don't want to have too many of them. And when it comes to online travelers, it's also about the first impression. Like in real life, when we meet for the very first time, we all have a first impression. You cannot turn it off. It's even before we talk, before we shake hands, we always have a first impression in seconds and parts of seconds. So, and it's again the same in the digital world. They have a first impression of your profile, of your page, of your program. It's all about the first impression, just like in real life. So optimize your profile with a high quality picture of yourself. I don't want to see a picture or a building or a car. I want to see a smiling face when I'm dealing with someone. And I want to know the name, and I want to see a face. And of course, a video would be even better. Nowadays, just record a 20-second introduction video of yourself, put it online or send it to them, send the link. And it makes a huge difference, I guarantee. And then, of course, talking about yourself, your experience, and don't be shy. You can brag and be proud about your level of service, your experience, your background. Show it off. That's the time where you can show it off. And also, when it comes to tour pages, there are 4 factors how they, when they are building their getting their first impression. That's the title, that's the title image, then it's the description, like the summary, and the price is 1 factor as well. That's also part of it. So I'm going to skip some of the details here because I want to have enough time for discussions and questions. Yes, selfie videos are very important. But this is important probably. I think when I see tour programs and pages on IndyGuide or on your own website, the biggest room for improvement is in the description. It's not only the missing images that you need. You cannot have enough images, and they cannot be in good quality. So you really need 10, 20, 30 high quality images for every tour package that you want to sell online. Because if you imagine your guest in front of the computer, they want to click through the images, and after 3 images, it stops. The gallery stops. They are so frustrated. They want to click through 20 or 30 images for 1 tour. And that's what we're seeing on the website. And that's why I encourage everyone to upload as many as possible. And the second weakness in tour pages is the description. And the description starts with the title. The title has to be meaningful, it has to be appealing, but it also has to say something about the activity, place, or other keywords and access that's in the tour package. Now, if it's called Best City Tour Highlights of Uzbekistan, that's probably not enough. Organic Google results with 3 to 5 words in the title, they generate more click rates than organic results with 1 or 2 words. So they have to have at least 3 to 5 words, some activity, some places, and some extras. Meet the basics. You know, before you start drawing this perfect itinerary and talking about what your guests are going to see, feel, and do, you need to deliver the basics. That's like, when and where does it start? What's the level of accommodation, level of meals, mode of transport, season, pricings, inclusions, you know, the details, the technical details, and the basic standards that needs to know, so that you really have to deliver these first, so you can get to the interesting part where you describe your perfect itinerary from your guests' point of view, you know, when you talk about what they see, what they feel, what they smell during the trip. That's probably the highest level of that you can achieve in selling online. And also prove and show your credibility. Talk about yourself. Don't be shy. Talk about your passion, your skill, talk about what others are telling about you. Talk about what other guests liked. Talk about what other guests wrote somewhere. You know, that's okay. That's the place to do that. What was outstanding in your past. So what's unique about you and the service that you're providing? What's the difference? That's really what your guest is looking for. They want to see that, and they want to see the differences. They want to understand what makes you and your service unique. And then again, summarizing the highlights. You know, they don't have time in the first and second visit to read everything, so they need quick overviews for everything. And whenever you describe in their role, you know, you will enjoy, you will discover, you will see, you will do, you will feel, because that's you're writing it for them, not for yourself. The itinerary, and maybe here the last bullet. And if you may write it, you know, you may mention it in your itinerary, or you may hide it from your itinerary because it's a surprise. But always think: do you have a wow moment in your program? You know, one moment in a week or in a trip, in a day, where they say, wow. Now, do you have it can be very small, it can be very big, it can cost nothing, but do you have a wow moments? You don't have to mention them, you don't have to list them, but think about it when you're creating your programs and when you're running them. And, you know, and there's not enough emphasizing of more images and more videos, because that's usually, you know, the traveler nowadays, you know, they are on their phones, tablets, MacBooks. They are browsing through multiple sites at the same time. So what's eye-catching to them? You know, it's the titles, the images, and videos, and you have to have those. Not only in the beginning, all over the place, because that's what's eye-catching and also makes them stay on your site. And if they like the images, they may start reading the itinerary. But if you don't have images, they won't read the itinerary, regardless how perfectly written it is. And providing additional information just shows how professional you are, how experienced you are, because you know what additional information is needed for your guests to know. I know about weather conditions, packing lists, risks, potential changes, and so on. So now I would like to talk some about the marketing activities that we're doing, you know, so you can understand if IndyGuide is suitable for your business or not, and how we're doing it, and why it's successful. Okay, oh, sorry. Yes, because everything we do is based on the user journey, traveler's user journey, and your personal user journey on the platform as a host and provider. And, you know, and both journeys start and end with word of mouth, because we're always talking to other people. We're always talking about our experiences and what we've done and what we'll be doing. So have that in mind. And I want our guests and your guests, you know, when they return home after the trip, I want them to talk about the experience, about your beautiful country, about you, the great, amazing, passionate guide they now call a friend. I want them to talk about it. I want them to show pictures to as many people as possible. And that's how we get the next traveler. That's how you get the next traveler. And it's the same with your host. You know, we have several interactions, and you know, for guests, it's from dreaming, planning, booking, experiencing, and sharing. And for you as a guest, is awareness, maybe today about the platform, the application on the platform, the sales that you're getting, experiencing with the guests, and also again sharing. So that's the fundament of our activities. And in marketing, you know, we want to create awareness for Uzbekistan, awareness for Central Asia. And, you know, this can be by, you know, travel is so visual, it's so emotional. It doesn't need a lot of text, it needs videos and images. And luckily, in your case, you know, we have endless content to post online, and images and videos. You know, it's just, we keep posting, but the stack keeps growing. So it's just, we have so much content to share. And that's actually a very great problem to have, because many, you know, others, they don't have enough content, they're struggling with that. And we have the opposite problem, we have too much content to share. Once they have awareness, you know, it's about getting that traffic, using social media, using search engines, mostly. And when you get the traffic, it's make sure they book with you. And the numbers, that's 1 booking out of 100 visitors. So it's a conversion rate of 1%. And in IndyGuide, we are providing your own personal conversion rate. If your conversion rate is below 1%, you are below average. If you're above 1%, you are above average. So you know, if it's below 1%, you have to improve your content. You have to improve the text. You have to improve the titles. You have to add images and videos to increase your conversion rate. You know, you have the platform provides an overall conversion rate for everyone, and you have to be able to keep that. You can, if you're below, there's usually a cause in your personal content. The second most important channel for IndyGuide is social media. You know, in social media, we are reaching about 80,000 followers and 500,000 people every month, thanks to their sharing and liking and commenting. And I prepared some tips for social media, for your social media business as well. You know, if you want to grow your social reach, why is social media so important? It's at the end, you want to grow your brand recognition and make yourself more credible and more authentic. You know, if you hear for the first time about me or about IndyGuide, you will look me up and you will see some content in social media. And then this content will make me credible or not credible, authentic or not authentic. It's all about that. And it's also brand recognition. Where, you know, wherever you see that camel, that's IndyGuide. I don't need more visuals or more text to explain that. It's just the recognition of the brand. So you want to appeal to your customers, reach new customers, engage with followers, increase sales, drive traffic, improve your SEO. Social media is one factor for your Google ranking. Google knows, of course, they know about Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And you can increase your conversion rates. And most importantly, it's a social proof for your guests. You know, it's the final step before they book. They need a final social proof that they are booking the right choice with a trustworthy provider. And in social media, you can deliver that social proof by others talking about you, by, you know, showing that you are reputable and active. But you have to have a goal when you do social media. It can be, you know, it can be a sales-driven goal. It can be brand recognition, delivering updates, asking questions. Based on your goal, you can post different types of content, but don't post your food, selfies, outfits, fitness. That's what we're also seeing. Hashtags are very important in social media, not so in Facebook, but it's very important in Instagram. They can expand your reach. Use some broad hashtags, adventure travel, and some very specific hashtags for your content and your place, but don't use random hashtags. You can even start a hashtag community, by generating your own hashtag. And if you don't know which hashtags to use, there are different tools. One is Hashtagify. You can browse the most popular hashtags. In social media as well, first impression matters. If your last post was 1 year ago, that's a bad impression. Engagement is very important, but I'm gonna have to skip that. Maybe, a great way, a tool of social media is, to expanding your reach by other people sharing your content. That's what we all want to achieve. And there are 3 ways how you can make people share your content. Does it have a useful character for others? Does it have a share value? If it's useful for my peers, my friends, I'm going to share that content. Does it provide an insider knowledge that's not publicly available or that's not known yet? Then I want to share that insider knowledge with my network. And does it evoke emotions in me, and does it tell a fascinating story? Then I want to share it as well. So make it shareable. Most important marketing tool for IndyGuide is SEO, search engine optimization. So we want to be ranked in the first page, because almost 9 out of 10 users, they don't even look at the second page of Google. So it's all about the first page. And of course, it's about the first 3 positions of the first page even. So, and over time, we've built a strong domain authority for IndyGuide that you can take use of it. You can benefit from it. Create your listing and you'll be ranked on the first page for many keywords. If you're interested in SEO, we're working with a great expert, and we have also a lot of experience now because we're doing it for more than 3 years, as a main focus. But the biggest and the easiest part of SEO is what you're doing on your own website. That's the technical excellence of your website. It's your URL, it's the meta tags, it's avoiding duplicate content. It's, of course, having amazing content, keywords, informative and easy to read, and a flawless user experience. So users are able to navigate. That's how you excel in SEO. I have to skip some. I hope you all know trends.google.com. Here you can compare and look up search phrases and keywords over time, regionally. You can compare, what is trending, what is higher in demand, is it hiking or cycling? It's a free tool, very powerful. But when you do SEO, never try to fool Google, because there are many so-proclaimed SEO experts. That's all the spam emails that we are getting every week. And there are millions of SEO experts. Don't trust them. If someone promises you to be on the first page in 1 month or 2 months, that's not sustainable, because that's called so-called black hat method, making use of some loopholes. But it's just a matter of time until Google closes those loopholes, and then you'll get a penalty and will be on the last page for the next 5 years. If you get a penalty like that, you can't ever recover again. So don't do that. There is no shortcut. It will take time. It requires some patience, but it's the most sustainable way of growing, in my opinion, because you don't have to spend a lot in ads and campaigns. So I'm going to skip more. Of course, we love to work with journalists and photographers and video makers. Here are some examples. Whenever we get a request from a journalist or an organization that has a broad reach, we help them for free. We connect them with the best possible people, and that's gonna pay back in a way. I don't care about that too much, because it's just about building your authority. So just work with experts and if you're able to work with videographers as well. You're asking about the source markets in the recent activity. Yes, we really do, and what we're seeing at the moment is a shift from European travelers to Asian travelers. You know, because with recovery starting in some places around the world, the first recovery will be local. You know, we will start traveling in our own city, country, and the regional, we may be allowed to visit a neighboring country. And the last step is international. So what we are seeing right now is regional travelers, you know, many Asian travelers looking for trips. Southeast Asia, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, South Korea. These are the markets that we are seeing being active on the platform. So, and not so much Europeans yet. But it's still the second largest group, even in this recent. Asking about the main keywords people are looking for. I shared this later, you know, with the top activities. I also have an article for country-specific keywords in my LinkedIn profile. Please look it up there, linkedin.com/Ati Tosun, and you'll see the popular keywords for each country and overall. And we have different categories for top activities, top places, top interests. It's asking about the price, average price on the platform. That's of course, there are differences between the destinations, but as an overall figure, I can say that a tour package is, you know, in a small group, is sold for $100 per day per person. Of course, you can ask quite a bit more with inclusions and services and expertise that you're providing, or sometimes less if you exclude some services. But on average, it's about to be exact 105 per day per person. Someone is asking about the difference between the old and new version of the website. I had mentioned it in the beginning. The biggest change is, you know, in the beginning, we wanted to sign up as many providers as possible and to have as much content as possible. Now we have that, and now in the second phase, we want to have, you know, have the filter of quality and standards, minimal standards. So we want to increase the quality of the content, and we are putting in place the host verification process. So we know who is on the platform, who is managing which account, who is behind the profile, because that's what's becoming more and more difficult on the old platform. And not anyone could upload anything anymore. It's created, approved, reviewed before it's published. So that's the main difference. And besides that, it's just a lot more user-friendly. So guests and travelers are able to find what they're looking for and narrow down much quicker, easier, and this will result in a higher conversion rate overall and more success rate for you. And also trip requests are closed. You know, I'm talking about the public tour requests, trip requests. They are closed after 10 offers. First 10 offers, and then it's closed because otherwise it's too overwhelming for the travelers, and you get a higher chance of getting it. Let me see. Is there any bookings tour planning process going on? You mean, a question is, John, I think you mean recently? Yes, since 2 weeks approximately, we are seeing an increased activity, you know, planning and booking going on the platform after 8 weeks of 0 requests and 0 bookings. It's restarting again. That's because, you know, here in Europe, at least, and in some parts of Asia probably, but I'm based in Europe, so I can. What we are seeing here is, you know, it's getting back to normal. People really push back to get back to normal. They don't wanna live in these exceptional circumstances anymore. They wanna have it the way it was, and that's traveling. You know, that's open borders here in Europe. So people want really push for open borders, free movement. They're losing their patience, and that's happening now. And that means people are, you know, they are less scared at the moment. You know, this virus is more and more in the background, so people are trying to, you know, talking about possible trips and possible vacations. So they do some research. We are seeing that, and me too. You know, I'm thinking of booking a trip now in July, probably next month, if the situation keeps improving like it is right now, I might be traveling next month. And I think many people are feeling the same. They wanna go out, and of course, first the first round of travelers are the experienced travelers, open-minded travelers, not those who are close-minded and unexperienced travelers. They will stay at home a few more months, but experienced and open-minded travelers, they will start traveling first. And luckily for us, Central Asia has always been the perfect destination for open-minded guests, for adventurous travelers, because of the beautiful nature Central Asia has. And I don't know if I mentioned it today, but maybe, if we look back in 5 years, we might be grateful for this COVID-19 experience, regardless all the sadness and tragedy, of course, but in terms of a tourism potential for Central Asia, because more people will choose wisely and consciously where they will travel to. They might look for new destinations they didn't think of before, and that's for many Central Asia, because these popular overcrowded destinations and attractions, they don't attract anymore, probably, or not so much. So it's about the connections, experiences beyond attractions. It's about going back to the nature. It's going back to untouched nature, because we don't have that here in Europe a lot. And Central Asia, with this huge territory, it's as big as Europe, you can say, but so many people haven't discovered it yet. And it's our job and responsibility to show it off, to talk about it, and to promote this region. And then it's the long-term development. I think it's a great, bright future for Central Asia's tourism. Okay, then let's see. I'm talking to many guides and tour operators these days and weeks, and I'm always asking them, what do you think about local and regional tourism? Can you attract Kazakh travelers to Uzbekistan, and would you go to Kyrgyzstan this summer for a week in nature and hiking? And I think yes, so many people would. It's just about how to connect them. Of course, Central Asian people are very connected all over the place. You already have probably many friends in your neighboring countries, so you can go and visit them, travel with them, invite them to your place. Invite yourself to each other's places, and so learn from each other and share each other's products as well and places. I think that's very easy to do at the moment, and as long as there are no international travelers. And next week, watch out for a big announcement that I'm going to post on Monday. We will introduce a big change on Monday, so I'm going to announce it here. Watch out for that. I hope and I think you're going to like it.
You have provided the full roadmap on how to make successful digital business now. So we will download this video, and people can follow step by step your most valuable advices about everything, even including some secrets of CEO of digital marketing. Yes, everything was presented very well. But Ati, we are like entrepreneurs, know that even if people do the same job and follow your instruction, very few projects in digital marketing are survived. Yes, at the end of the day. So, what kind of like a life hack for young entrepreneurs you can provide to succeed in this very highly competitive environment? Because you're not alone anyway. Yes, we have big OTAs, we have some players like Kyrgyzstan, Kalpak Travel. Yes, those who are targeted to Central Asia. We have local players at every country. Yeah, so competition is great, and usually people use only one tool, price, for on how to compete. What you can advise to young people? Yeah,
I mean, of course, instructions sound very easy to listen to, but are very and some can be very difficult to follow. I think my biggest advice would be based on my personal experience and learning that I'm going through. Is I always try to have my my short list of so-called action steps that I'm going to execute. And I regularly, almost daily, or at least weekly, I am rearranging my action steps based on importance, based on urgency. As you can imagine, you know, and I could be doing millions of things at the same time, but keeping your focus on the most important task, one by one, and getting it done, and not talking about it, you know, execution, just list it, do it, list it, do it. That's at least how I do it. And the second piece of advice for this question is, you know, you need persistence, resilience. It will be, sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's boring, sometimes it's frustrating, but you have to keep going. Because we all have our personal end goal, you know, and this end goal is not easy. Otherwise, it wouldn't be an end goal. So we have to go through this sometimes frustrating and sometimes boring moments of our jobs to achieve what we really want to achieve. And this also includes, I'd say, you know, start with something where you're the best, where you already have the skills, where you already have great experience, where you already got some great feedback. Start building on that. You know, then you already have you're not starting at zero, you're starting with a great solid base. Start with what you're doing, what you're great at, where you have your own skills, where you already get great feedbacks. By doing that, success is much more likely because you know how to do that. And then you can keep growing from there, you know, keep learning, keep adding, and then keep doing new experiences and getting into new experiences. And I think that's how we can grow. How do you make sure travelers do not book directly through the agency and use your platform? You know, I don't worry too much about questions like that because in my opinion, and sometimes people ask me, you know, if you know IndyGuide and me from the past, you know that we care about, you know, empowering providers, and we like to share. We like to see others. We like to see others grow and succeed and establish their professional businesses. And sometimes they ask me, you know, if I'm not afraid of competition. No, I'm not, and neither should you, because you know we have an industry to build, and it's just starting to grow. It's about the long-term future that we have to care about. It's not about the now and today and about competition, because it's about to make sure our cake as an industry keeps growing. And if the industry keeps growing, we will all benefit automatically. So we shouldn't waste our energy and focus on competition, rather than, you know, collaboration, helping each other, supporting each other. You know, we are believers of karma. You know, it will come back to you what you do to others. So help others, and we all keep growing. That's one answer to that question. And the other answer is, many travelers, they like to use platforms like IndyGuide because it's convenient. You know, because they are used to platforms like IndyGuide, and they know how they handle some customer support. You know, they know which name is going to be on the credit card statements. They know the address and phone number of the business in Switzerland. So they are used to platforms like this, and they know there's a commission. You know, in everything there's a commission in business. Sometimes it's hidden, sometimes it's obvious, but there's always a commission. So and that's okay. That's how we do business. We all, you know, when you buy a car or sell a car, it's in every kind of business. And we travelers know that it's about convenience and it's about trust. And that's maybe an unfair point, but it's also because they are used and trusting platforms like IndyGuide. Now I'm going to see if I can catch another question here in the chat. Social media becoming more important to be present on for business. You know, if you want to reach B2C, you know, your end travelers, your guests and travelers, Instagram is the most important social media, because Instagram is visual. Instagram is all about image and video, and so is travel. about image and video. So Instagram is the #1 tool for reaching travelers. And if you're into B2B partners, you want to make professional connections, find new partners, LinkedIn is your place to be, because it's very easy to find the right person. With the search functions and filters, it's easy to present your background, your expertise, your skills, your content, your feedbacks. It's all in your LinkedIn profile, and it's easy to get in touch with potential partners. So, and I think TikTok is not relevant yet. It's just for it's for teenagers. It can be relevant if you are into, let's say, family travel. Because we know, and my son is 2.5 years now, so parents are basing their decisions almost to 100% on their children. So if they enjoy it, I'm going to enjoy it. So that's how I choose. I want them to be safe, of course, and I want them to have fun. That's how families choose on vacations. And that's how, and teenagers, if they are a bit older, and toddlers and teenagers, they co-decide on the destination, on the activities. They discuss with their parents what to do, where to go. So you can reach kids first and try to influence them to convince their parents to visit a place or to do an activity. But I think that's not really a relevant case in our case. So I wouldn't focus on that yet. I get asked about cancellations, about cancellation terms. That's an important topic, especially now in COVID-19. We've seen the impact of cancellation policies. I think it's in the future that's going to change completely, because guests require flexible cancellation terms. They want to have, ease of comfort that they're not going to lose any deposits. So that's how they decide in the future as well, after this COVID experience. And I think platforms like IndyGuide can be a great help to achieve that. We already have, in many cases, payment on arrival, because they pay the deposit to the platform and then pay on arrival cash the whole amount upfront. And that's been working well for many tours and for many destinations. So we're already proving that can work, and I think that's going to be the case more in the future.
To be in time. Ati, I have another idea. You have so many things to share with us. Of course, 1 or 2 hours is not enough, and 2 or 3 or 10 meetings like this, maybe it's not enough, because we want to see you personally. Ati, in December we are going to organize Samarkand Tourism Forum in Samarkand city offline. We do hope that it will be possible in December, because our main forum is a yearly event in Samarkand. This year it was in January because of some circumstances in Uzbekistan. We couldn't do it last December, but every year we will do it in December. Ati, we are inviting you to our forum to provide an offline speech, to sit with us, to eat with us, yes, and to share everything possible. And of course, we can also share something valuable with you. How do you think we can consider this as an opportunity?
I humbly accept your kind invitation. Thank you very much. I would love to attend in person and to meet all of you, or most of you in person. As I said in my introduction, I like to share what we are learning and observing, because I believe in return I can learn and grow as well by learning from you, because you're the experts in tourism and you're the experts of your destinations, and I want to learn from you. And that's why I would like to accept your invitation, and I would be amazed, and I'm really looking forward to being in Samarkand again.